This morning it is my pleasure and honor to introduce our guest speaker, a speaker who doesn't need introduction for those who are regulars at Midwest Buddhist Temple. Eli Brown has spoken several times in the past. Eli came to Chicago to go to grad school. He grew up in the Orange County area of Southern California. And he has made himself right at home here at Midwest. We certainly welcome him and all the energy that he brings to us. He is currently just starting the Institute of Buddhist Studies to go on to become a minister. So without further ado, Eli Brown.
Thanks, Reverend Ron, for that introduction. And thanks, everybody, for having me today. I'm happy to be here talking with everybody, as always. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about beginnings. It's an exciting week in kind of our country. I think there has been, it's the first temple session we have in a non-Trump administration America in 4 years. And I think that's something to celebrate there. But while we're kind of no longer in Trump's America, we're still in the America that birthed Trump and that brought about all the situations that caused the last 4 years. And so this past week, I've been thinking about like how to stay hopeful and realistic at the same time and what that means. And so I wanted to share a little bit about kind of new beginnings and a few different beginnings across my life. As we all enter this kind of different type of beginning together in the world and in our country. I was looking over a book called Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shunryu Suzuki. It's a pretty popular book, and it talks about a concept called Shoshin, or beginner's mind. And the quote from there is that in the beginner's mind, possibilities are endless. In the expert's mind, possibilities are few, right? It's something approximately that. And so often when we think we're experts and we think we've known and we know things with a capital K, we have all this knowledge, all the things that we experience start to become a little bit more limited because we box ourselves into these kind of preconceptions that we have. And so I was thinking this past week of how I personally approach beginnings and how to keep myself like grounded in reality and the work that we need to do as we go forward into this kind of more hopeful, joyful time. And so one beginning I had across my life, in thinking about these, I realized they were all at kind of different cruxes, the big beginnings that I was really excited to do, different really important cruxes of my life. And so one was when I was a kid, I started martial arts and meditation. I started Shaolin Kung Fu at 8, and then Aikido and meditation at 12. And I grew up in kind of a little gifted program type of school. We had really small classes and they let you go up, a couple grades in each and kind of really accelerated academics. And so at a really young age, by like 10 even, 8, 10, 12, I was getting burnt out at school. And I was somebody who loved learning but was slowly having a hard time connecting with it. And it was getting to be really difficult to like keep up the momentum and the energy to do all this schooling because all the fun things started slowly turning into tests. And everything that I was excited about at school before became something I had to prove rather than something I got to explore. But then I started meditation and martial arts. And then learning there became fun again. I learned how to tap back into my body and how to like learn new things without as much pressure and a different kind of discipline that kind of felt self-powered. It felt more like I had the agency to choose and to be excited and invigorated by learning again. And so that first beginner mindset, that was the first time I was really thinking of that consciously, right? Like, oh, I'm a beginner at this and I love it. Because even at 12, I was in my head thinking I should be an expert about anything, which is so silly to think of now as a 27-year-old who's still young and not an expert at anything. But the fact that I thought I should be an expert at like math and science at 12 was too much. It was too much pressure. And so being able to learn martial arts and meditation and how to take a breath, kind of get out of my anxiety and enjoy all the endless possibilities of things I didn't know, which meant all the things I could learn and experience, that was really important to me. And so another beginning, if we speed up a little in my life, was joining this temple. I moved here, as Sensei said, for grad school a couple years ago, about almost 4 years ago now. And I started coming to temple like the second week I moved to Chicago. I was recommended it by the Orange County Buddhist Temple folks. They were like, go visit Midwest Buddhist Temple. That's our version over there. I'm sure it'll be familiar and welcome. And I remember walking in and seeing the "Come As You Are" poster in the back. And for me, that quote has changed and taken shape over the last 4 years. I think being a beginner in that sense, I was a beginner to Chicago. I was a beginner to moving across the country, to being on my own in this way, so far from anybody I knew. I just moved with one person, and so we were really starting fresh here. And being a beginner in that sense was a little scary because I felt like I was a beginner at community all over again. It was the first time I had to kind of reroute. And that "Come As You Are" sign at first was really wonderful and an invitation to just show up and explore, right? That I didn't need to know anything. I didn't need to be a certain way. As Shin Buddhists, I think often we have not so many rules or regulations built into our practice and system. And so there's a lot of like leniency and breath and compassion into the ways that we can be, because it's endless, right? There's no one right way. So that means every way could be the right way for you if it feels right to you. So you get to explore all these different ways of being. And that felt like a beautiful invitation. But even more so, I think I've been able to dive a little deeper into that lately and think of "Come As You Are" as discover all you are, right? If I'm showing up as who I am, exactly just that, every weekend, and practicing doing that over and over again, eventually I'm discovering who I am without all the shoulds that I would put on myself, right? How do I act when I'm not acting like I think I should, and I'm just acting, right? Out of myself, out of my own natural tendencies, out of my own compassion for others, or my own, guidelines that I've set for myself. But who am I when I strip away all those extra layers of kind of delusion and life that get clung and stuck onto me and integrated into my view of myself? Who am I when I give that a little space, when I breathe, right? It made it so much easier to find out what I wanted in life, right? As I said, I grew up kind of rigorously academically, so that meant a lot of structure. And my release from that was also more structure, which was martial arts and meditation in kind of the Zen style, which was still pretty rigorous. And so while I found a lot of breath and escape through that, and I learned how to make structure flexible, I still was kind of bound to a system. I was still very attached to things being a certain way in order to feel a certain way. And so coming to this temple made me kind of expand that, open that up a little bit more, and be a beginner in a new sense. And in this beginning, learning lessons of, okay, now that I've accepted that I can just show up and be me, I can explore what that means a little bit. See how I am. See more deeply what it means to be me. And so in that discovery, it leads to the third of my fourth. I've got 4 little sharing points. Fourth beginning, which was this past year. I switched from being a teacher, a preschool teacher, which I did through grad school and for a year after, into just leading meditations for work, right? So now I just do kind of this. I meditate with folks, and then we have a talk after, just like in temple, but now I do it one-on-one for people or for different groups or organizations. And so this is the first time I've ever been my own boss. This is the first time I've ever had this much meditation in my life. I had to reapproach everything I thought I knew about meditation. And so in starting this job, it's something I've been doing for 15 years, sitting and breathing and meditating. And I've been leading it for quite a while too, informally or for temples or for dojo. And I got overwhelmed and intimidated a little bit starting this by myself. Because for the first time I had to think, okay, without the structure already given to me, how would I do this? How would I choose to lead? How would I choose to share what's been shared with me? And so I got to rethink the structure of my meditation sessions a little bit. And even just learning how to learn my limit of how much I can meditate in one day, right? I first started really excited. I was like, I love to meditate. I do it all the time. Of course, let me do 5 sessions in one day. And then after 5 hours of reflection and meditation and in like intense emotional processing, I was a little tired. And I thought, wow, that's something to learn. Okay, maybe I need to scale this back a little and readjust. But in that beginning, I think the biggest thing I learned was that, and that continual beginning, because I'm a year in now, but it still feels fresh and like I'm building this practice, which I think is nice. I've been learning how wonderful it is to shape my thoughts and how I want to express alongside other folks. Right? There's a quote by the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, the historical Buddha, which is, "No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path." And in that, I think so often meditation is seen as a solitary act. It's something we do by ourselves, we close ourselves off, or we dive in only deeper, right, in solitude. And I feel a firm believer that meditation can never be a solitary act, right? Because in each session or in each attempt to dive into stillness or to calm and open our minds, we're recognizing interdependence and recognizing all the different ways that I cannot be without all of you being, right? Without everything around me being. And so even when I meditate just by myself or when I meditate with 10 people in a day, each breath of that meditation is an opportunity to dive into community, to dive into that feeling of interconnectedness and that existing within existing that is so available to us when we slow down, I think. And so in beginning this job and in really exploring meditation in different ways, in creative ways, for folks who are dealing with big things, I've sat with some folks who are, in various different health issues, who are in recovery programs, who are just trying to find a little peace in their brain, or who are going through tremendous loss. And all of us can talk about the same things and connect over the same things. And I find that every session I get closer to that connection. So through all those beginnings, I carry this new beginning now into exploring the Institute of Buddhist Studies and becoming a minister and really learning about folks in a different way. And it makes me very hopeful to start this beginning with this beginning of our country shifting a little as well. So that's my sharing. If everybody will join me in Gasho. There's always a chance to start anew. And in each breath, there is a refresh. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you.